Society tells us a very specific story. Work hard, save money, and get rich. We spend decades climbing the corporate ladder, hoping for that ultimate financial freedom. But for most people, the math simply does not support this optimistic narrative anymore. There is a fundamental disconnect between the wages you earn and how wealth grows. This gap is what economists call the divergence between labor income and capital returns. Today, we are going to visualize exactly why working harder often yields diminishing returns. We call this the rat race math, and it traps millions of smart workers. To understand the trap, we must first look at how your salary actually functions. Your salary is linear income, meaning it is strictly tied to your time input. If you stop working tomorrow, the money stops flowing immediately, creating total dependency. Now contrast that with assets, which generate value regardless of your physical presence. This distinction is the core difference between the working class and the wealthy elite. Let us look at the historical data regarding wage stagnation since the year 1971. Productivity has gone up massively, but wages have remained almost completely flat for decades. This means you are producing more value than ever, but capturing less of it. Where does that extra value go if it is not going into your paycheck? It goes directly to the asset owners, the shareholders, the landlords, and the investors. This brings us to the most important variable in our equation. Inflation eats wages. Every year, your cash salary loses purchasing power, making you effectively poorer over time. But here's the secret. Assets actually benefit from inflation, increasing their nominal value. While your savings rot in the bank, real estate and stocks ride the wave. Let's visualize this with two characters, worker Bob and investor Alice, starting today. Bob works overtime, getting a 3% raise, which barely matches current inflation. His purchasing power remains exactly the same despite working an extra 10 hours. Alice owns a portfolio of index funds, which grows by 8% annually. She did 0 hours of extra work for that growth. Her money worked. This is the concept of leverage, separating your time from your income generation. Without leverage, you are trapped in a linear equation that you cannot win. Another massive factor in the rat race math is the punishing tax code. Earned income from a job is taxed at the highest possible rates globally. Governments tax labor heavily because it is easy to track and deduct automatically. Capital gains, or money made from money, are taxed at much lower rates. So Bob works hard and pays 40% tax on his marginal income. Alice sleeps in and pays 20% or less on her investment growth. The system is mathematically designed to reward capital owners and penalize labor providers. This is why the rich get richer. They play by a different math. But you can switch sides. You do not have to stay a laborer. The transition begins when you stop buying liabilities and start accumulating income-producing assets. Most people use their salary to buy cars, clothes, and depreciating consumer goods. This keeps them trapped in the cycle of needing the next paycheck immediately. To escape, you must live below your means to create a capital surplus. That surplus is your seed money. It is the most important cash you earn. You must treat that surplus like an employee you are hiring to work. When you buy a stock, you are buying a tiny piece of corporate profit. When you buy real estate, you are buying a hedge against inflation and rent. Over time, the income from these assets begins to replace your salary income. This is the crossover point, the moment you are mathematically free from the race. But achieving this requires ignoring society's pressure to look rich before being rich. The fake rich have high incomes but low net worth and high debt. The real rich have high assets, low visible consumption, and total time freedom. Let us examine the compound interest effect on your asset column over time. Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. In the beginning, your investment returns will feel painfully small and insignificant. This is the valley of disappointment where most people quit and buy a car. But if you persist, the exponential curve eventually kicks in vertically. Your money starts making more money than your actual job pays you annually. This is the mathematical certainty of consistent investing over a long time horizon. You do not need to be a genius, you just need to be disciplined. Let's address a common myth: I don't earn enough money to invest yet. The math shows that starting early with small amounts beats starting late with large amounts. Waiting for the perfect time to invest is the most expensive mistake possible. Every day you wait, you lose the power of the compound multiplier. Now let's talk about the final trap in the rat race: lifestyle inflation. As people earn more, they almost immediately spend more to match their peers. This keeps the gap between income and expenses at zero, regardless of salary. You could earn $1 million a year and still be broke. Wealth is not what you earn, wealth is what you keep and invest. So how do you actually execute the escape plan starting right now? Step 1 is to audit your expenses and ruthlessly cut non-essential spending. Step 2 is to automate a monthly transfer to a low-cost index fund. Step 3 is to increase your income through side hustles or high-value skills. Crucially, every extra dollar earned must go to assets, not lifestyle upgrades. You must fundamentally shift your identity from a consumer to an owner. Consumers see money as something to spend. Owners see money as employees. When you look at a company, stop thinking about buying their products, start thinking about buying their stock and letting other people buy their products. This mental shift is harder than the actual mechanics of investing money. Society spends billions in advertising to keep you in the consumer mindset. They want you to be a loyal worker and a loyal spender forever. Breaking free requires rebelling against the default path laid out for you. Let us navigate common pitfalls that destroy wealth-building journeys early on. Pitfall 1 is trying to time the market instead of prioritizing time in the market. Even professional investors fail at timing the market consistently over long periods. Pitfall 2 is confusing speculative gambling with long-term wealth investing. Buying a meme coin hoping for a quick 100x return is not investing. True investing is boring, slow, and incredibly reliable over decades. Pitfall 3 is taking financial advice from broke family members or friends. Most people are terrible with money and will gladly share their terrible habits. You must seek out data-driven information and ignore anecdotal evidence from peers. The math does not care about your feelings or your neighbor's new car. Now, let us simplify asset allocation, which is just how you divide your investments. Stocks provide high growth potential, but come with higher short-term volatility. Bonds provide lower, steadier returns and act as a ballast during crashes. Real estate offers leverage, tax benefits, and tangible utility that stocks lack. A healthy portfolio usually contains a mix of these diverse asset classes. Your specific mix depends entirely on your age and your risk tolerance. Younger people can afford more risk because they have time to recover. As you near retirement, you shift towards stability to preserve your nest egg. Automated target date funds can manage this entire process for you effortlessly.
Complexity is often just a sales tactic used by expensive financial advisors. Now, let us dig deeper into the macroeconomic math that drives wealth inequality globally. French economist Thomas Piketty popularized a simple, devastating formula. R is greater than G. R stands for the average annual return on capital, like profits and rents. G stands for the growth of the economy, which drives wage increases. Historically, the return on existing wealth, R, consistently outpaces economic growth, G. This means those who own the past control the future more than workers. If you rely solely on wages, G, you are mathematically destined to fall behind capital owners, R. You cannot outwork this equation. You must join the side of capital. Every share of stock you buy moves you slightly from side G to side R. It's a slow migration, but it's the only reliable path to freedom. What does life actually look like when you win the rat race math? It's not necessarily about Ferraris and yachts unless that is your specific goal. Real wealth is the ability to wake up and say, I own my time. Financial independence occurs when your safe asset withdrawal rate exceeds your annual expenses. A common benchmark is the 4% rule for retirement withdrawals. If you need $50,000 a year to live, you need a portfolio of $1.25 million. Once you hit that number, your assets pay your salary forever, theoretically. You no longer have to tolerate a toxic boss or stressful working conditions.
Work becomes optional, a choice you make based on passion, not survival necessity. That is the ultimate prize, the restoration of your human autonomy. Let us review the core principles, because repetition is necessary to deprogram rat race thinking. Principle 1. Your salary is a tool for buying assets, not consumer goods. Principle 2. Discipline and consistency matter far more than intelligence or luck. You do not need to hit home runs, you just need to hit singles constantly. Principle 3. Time is your greatest ally, so stop wasting it waiting to start. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best is today. Principle 4. Avoid high-interest consumer debt like it is a radioactive hazard. Debt is compound interest working against you, ensuring you remain poor forever. Principle 5. Keep it simple. Automate everything so you cannot sabotage yourself. Removing human willpower from the equation is the key to long-term success. As we conclude, consider the very real cost of ignoring this math. If you do not build assets, you will work until the day you die. Social Security and government pensions are mathematically unsustainable and will likely be reduced. Relying on the system to take care of you is a guaranteed losing strategy. The corporate world will pay you exactly enough to keep you from quitting, no more. They have no incentive to make you rich because then they would lose their worker. You must take full responsibility for your financial future, starting this very second. The pain of discipline is far less than the pain of regret later in life. Choose your pain now, or society will choose it for you later. The math is terrifying if you ignore it, but liberating if you embrace it. We have visually broken down why working harder at a job is a mathematical dead end. We showed how inflation, taxes, and wage stagnation conspire to keep laborers poor, and we demonstrated how asset ownership and compound interest are the only viable escape routes. The choice is no longer between working hard or being lazy. It is math versus delusion. You can continue hoping things will get better, or you can execute the proven formula. If you found value in this visual breakdown of the rat race trap, please subscribe. We dive deep into the mechanics of wealth building without the usual fluff or hype. Share this video with someone you know who is working too hard for too little.
Leave a comment below with the word math if you are committed to buying assets. Stop running on the wheel and start building the machine that sets you free.